So quite often my students can't get quite their head around this. In Spanish, they hardly ever use the passive, or the passive that does exist and is correct grammatically. They tend to use it a lot less than we do in English. And because we use it so much in English, sometimes the students try and find it very difficult to try and work out how to then change it from the passive voice into a way in which we can avoid it. If you haven't watched my how to do the passive voice video, I would do that first and then come back to this once you've mastered that. So how do we get around that then? So there are various ways. The first way is if we know who's doing the action, we can make it active. So if we give an example, the book was taken by the boy, so we know who's taken the book. The documents were signed by the Prime Minister, so we know who signed the documents. So in both these cases, we've got who's doing the action for both of those. So in this case, then we can make it active. So these two are passive sentences in English. So then if we have a look at the Spanish, again, these are passive. So el libro fue llevado por el niño. Los documentos fueron firmados por el primer ministro. So just to make them active, then we just swap them around. So like we would in English, the boy took the book, or the Prime Minister signed the document. So we do exactly the same in Spanish. El niño llevó el libro, or el primer ministro firmó los documentos. So we just make it active by bringing the end of the sentence to the beginning, or moreover, the subject of the sentence to the beginning and the object at the back. So that's type 1. If we don't know who's doing the action, then this is where it becomes complicated. And this is where sometimes the students don't recognize what they're using as their passive. So we could use the impersonal se. I do have a whole video on this. If you go back to my video channel, you would have to look up on that completely. But literally, se literally means one does something, or you do something. And it takes the he, she, and it form of the verb in whatever tense that would be. So this is when, as I said, we don't know who's doing the action, who or what did the action, and we can't make it active. So for example, the whole house was sold yesterday. So we know it was sold, but we don't know by whom. But it is a passive sentence. We've got the verb to be and the past participle. So if we were in the passive, we'd use la casa fue vendida ayer. Okay, but because that's not really Spanish, then we change it to se vendió la casa. So this is in the preterite tense here. We changed it into the se form here with the preterite of the verb vender, and we put it into the preterite of the he, she, and it form. Remember I said that se takes the he, she, and it form. Okay, literally we're saying one sold the house, but the meaning and the translation would be exactly the same as the English sentence on the screen here. The house was sold yesterday. Okay, and that's sometimes where some students need to get their head around the meaning something slightly different in Spanish, but actually the translation will be the same in English. Okay, the la we can put in there just to refer to what it is we're selling. So in this case, it's something feminine. If it was masculine, we put lo. Plurals, we can put los or las, just to give a little bit of emphasis to it, but it's not necessary. Okay. The books will be taken after school. We don't know who by whom. Could be by the teachers, could be by the students. So we don't know who's doing it, so we can't make it active. So if we have a look at the passive sentence, los libros serán llevados después del instituto. This time we're using the future passive, but we're changing it to one. So again, one, the he, she, and it form of the verb. Se llevarán los libros después del instituto. Again, we're putting the los in there just to make an emphasis if we need to, but it's not necessary. Okay, and then there's type 3. So type 3 is where you make the main verb in the sentence reflexive. Again, you can't know who's doing the action, so you can either use type 1 or type 2 or type 3, but you can't make it active. So, for example, the apple was eaten. So if we have that in the passive, la manzana fue comida. Okay, this is in the preterite. So is this one here in English. So literally we're saying the apple ate itself. That's what we're literally saying. La manzana se comió. Now sometimes it doesn't look a lot different to using the se in personal form. Yet the verb tends to go after the noun here, whereas when we're using type 2, it tends to go before the noun. We see a little bit of a difference when it's in the plural form because the verb becomes plural rather than you using it in the he, she, and it form. But as with the last one, it means exactly the same thing. La manzana se comió means the apple was eaten. So we'd use the passive translation in English. Let's give you another example. The books were bought in the shop. Again, we don't know who bought the books. And this is a passive sentence. So los libros fueron comprados en la tienda. That's our passive. Again, it's in the preterite. So we literally say los libros se compraron en la tienda. We're literally saying the books bought themselves in the shop. But as I said, we would translate that to the books were bought in the shop. Note here then, unlike the impersonal se, we've got a they form of the verb referring to the books. Okay, so literally they bought themselves. All right. So this is a bit of practice. There's 10 sentences here. I'd like you to try and put them into a way of avoiding the passive. So you have a little look at the 3 types again if you want to. So rewind the video, pause it here, have a go, and then we'll go over the answers. Okay, so the first one, the democracy was founded in 1976. We don't know who founded democracy. So we haven't got type 1 where you can make it active. So we put either la democracia en España se fundó en 1976. So this is the reflexive form. Or the impersonal form, se fundó la democracia en España en 1976. The king was crowned in 1975. Again, we don't know who did it. So either we make it reflexive, el rey se coronó en 1975, or se coronó al rey en 1975. Notice we've got the a here because we've got verb plus a person, so impersonal a. If you don't know how that works, then again, look at my video on impersonal a. The MPs were allowed to vote yes or no. So we started off this time with the impersonal se permitió a los políticos. Again, that's that personal personal a. I think I said impersonal there. Personal a plus the person. Votar sí o no. Or we make it reflexive. Los políticos se permitieron votar sí o no. Okay. The first elections are held in 1975. I've deliberately put it in the present tense here, but you could translate it into either in the Spanish. So las primeras elecciones se realizaron in the reflexive, or if you want to do it in the present tense, se realizan, or the impersonal se realizó las elecciones en 1977, or you could do the present tense, se realiza las elecciones en 1977. Okay, the dates will be given to the people on Monday. This is the future. So las fechas se darán a la gente el lunes, so the reflexive to start with, and then the impersonal se dará las fechas a la gente el lunes. The restrictions will be lifted after 2 months. Las restricciones se levantarán después de 2 meses. Reflexive to start with, and impersonal se levantará las restricciones después de 2 meses. Smoking would be banned in all places if possible. El fumar se prohibiría. We've got conditional tense here, but this is reflexive. En todas partes, si posible. Or se prohibiría el fumar en todas partes, si posible. So we've got the impersonal in second form. The music is going to be played in the square. La música se va a ponerse en la plaza. Se va a poner, sorry. So when we're using reflexives in the near future, we can either put the se or the reflexive pronoun on the end of the infinitive, if it's a reflexive verb, or we can move it and bring it at the beginning. So you've either got la música se va a poner, I've missed out en la plaza, or you can put it at the end, la música va a ponerse en la plaza. And then next one, the impersonal, se va a poner la música en la plaza, or again we could put the se at the end, va a ponerse la música en la plaza. Either of those would be fine. Okay, next one. The politicians were visited at 10 o'clock. Los políticos se visitaron a las 10. So reflexive, and then impersonal, se visitó a los políticos a las 10. And the fire will be lit at dusk. El fuego se encenderá al anochecer, or se encenderá el fuego al anochecer. I'm just thinking, I can't remember what I said for this one, but the se actually has to go at the beginning here because we're doing it in the impersonal forms, so se va a poner la música en la plaza, so you can't put it at the end of the infinitive. Okay, have another rewind back. If you've got any questions, just leave a little note at the end of the video, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.